Everyone. Thank you so much for making time on a Monday evening. I'm really excited for this collaborative event between CHASC/ISC and the Bridge Cultural Exchange Academy and a representative from the National Committee on U.S.-China Relations as well. We have amazing opportunities to share with you tonight, and I will be going over very quickly some logistics, and then I will turn it over to Kiwi, who will kick us off. So we will be having all three of our representatives share about the programs that they are familiar with for 10 minutes. And we will be saving questions for the end. So please feel free to put in your questions into the chat, but know that we will be addressing them at the end for the formal Q&A session, where you will have the opportunity to ask additional questions. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Kiwi. Give me one moment, please.
Thank you for that, Deborah, and for running the slides. I guess while we're doing that, I'll go ahead and give a brief introduction about myself. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Perfect. It looks like the sound is just a little bit delayed, so we will deal with that as we can. But my name is Kieran Yoas Noel. I usually go by Kiwi. I was a Task 4 delegate when Miss Allison Hunt was a EC. So I was delegate in Task 4, and then I became chair of Task 5. And now I am the Task 6 intern. So that is just a great example of the kind of long-term relationship that you build with ISC when you participate as a student in these conferences. So it is a great gateway into many different career options. If you'd like to go ahead and press the next slide. So ISC is International Student Conferences Incorporated, established in 1934, originally with the hopes of creating cross-cultural diplomacy between the Japanese and American youth during a time of extreme tension. Unfortunately, we all know what happened in the 1930s, going into the 1940s, but that spirit of Type 2 diplomacy, of connecting the youth, stays strong. So ISC has now 3 different conferences: the Japan-America Student Conference, the original, the Korea-America Student Conference, and the 3rd and youngest China-America Student Conference, established in 2020. A great time for Chinese and American relationships to prosper. So that is ISC. That's the parent company. They operate in Washington, D.C., and those are a little bit about the 3 different conferences that we hold. Here's what makes it different. So a lot of programs of a similar fashion are very institutionalized, institution-focused. The parent company is usually at the forefront of the planning. What makes us special is that we are fully student-run and student-led, and so that really allows the youth perspective and the young drive and passion to really become the forefront of the conference. We also have a lot of opportunity to discuss off the record, of course, with different diplomats, policymakers, CEOs, tech firms, a lot of different kind of interconnected institutions. So that makes this a really unique experience rather than just kind of classroom interactions. You also get to be with your, I guess, fellow delegates. For CHASC specifically, it's usually about 2 weeks. The other 2 conferences, you'll get to be with them for longer in an enclosed space. And while that sometimes may be a little rough at the start, you usually come out of it feeling a lot closer with people. And not only do you get off the record kind of dinner discussions with institutions, but that living together and experiencing your time together really allows you to kind of get off the record discussions with different students, young students abroad. So really special. We also have kind of a research academic component, which is our roundtables, and we can talk about that later. But like I said previously, it's a really unique experience that truly allows you to not only kind of get some institutionalized networking and familiarity, but also connect with youth across the Pacific. Perfect. So yeah, a little bit more about how our conferences work. Like I said, CHASC is usually a little bit shorter because we're a little bit younger, but programs such as JASC and CASC, they're usually for about 3 weeks. We usually go to a multitude of different cities. For CHASC 6 specifically, there's 4, a quite ambitious run to do in 2 weeks. But the goal is to kind of get an idea of not only like major cities, but also kind of rural areas, suburban areas, to kind of get a full, well-rounded experience. More about roundtables. This is going to be our academic component of the conferences. Usually what happens is you are introduced to the different roundtable topics of the conference during the application period. Different conferences do it differently, but you'll be assigned to one, and it allows you to engage with the trip in a particular lens. So for example, it could be from last year we did environment and agriculture. So throughout the entire trip, the people who are in this particular roundtable are going to be engaging and researching and discussing the entire experience through that lens. And it culminates in what we call final forum, in which your research is usually presented to the public. It can be academic. Sometimes with CHASC, we do more of a key takeaways, changes every year. But that is a open to the public kind of culmination of your research throughout the time. Something that also makes this really special is, as it's student-run and student-led, all delegates that participate in the year previously get an opportunity to be elected into the executive committee. Well, they'll be able to go ahead and create the NIC conference for the next year. So our CHASC 6 ECs were CHASC 6 delegates of the previous year. So like I said, it's a long-term kind of commitment, and it's really special. I think we can move on to the next slide. Yes, no application fee. From a personal joke from CHASC 5 is that we are cheapskates. So we try to keep the cost low to make sure everything's accessible, and that's across the board for all of the conferences. For the 6th CHASC, the cities that they'll be visiting are going to be Washington, D.C. I believe that's pronounced Missoula, Montana. Never been to Montana. No. Kunming, China, that's in Yunnan, and Beijing. And so the idea with this kind of model with the different cities is to be able to parallel like more rural experience in Montana and Yunnan, and then to counter that with a more technological cosmopolitan feel with both Washington, D.C. and Beijing. So all 4 cities will be visited, and something special about this CHASC 6 reiteration is that we're going to both countries. Traditionally, what happens is both countries gets it for 1 year, so we alternate. This is special, so we'll be going to both. The conference dates are going to be July 3rd through the 24th. There is a major holiday in there. We thought that, or the ECs thought that it would be a great idea to go ahead and open it up with July 4th in the US. So that's the conference dates. However, the application does close in January, so pretty soon here. Cost. If you're based in the US, it is going to be $3,000 for the conference fee. This covers essentially almost everything: your housing, meals, your activities, on-the-ground transportation, health insurance, etc. And the only things that you would need after that are for souvenirs. So everything is covered. If that applies to anybody that's based in the US. So if you're a Chinese student studying in an American university, you will pay the $3,000 to fly out, essentially. There is a Connect tab there. I do encourage you guys to follow our Instagram. That is usually the best way to keep updated with CHASC and any activities and fun kind of little pictures. So do give us a follow. This year, the roundtable's topics are technology and innovation, intercultural communication, and rural areas and environments. Something special about CHAS 6 is there are going to be subgroups and subtopics. So you may notice that these are very broad, kind of umbrella terms. If you're interested in very specific kind of areas within those umbrella terms, as they go into subgroups, you'll be able to kind of explore more specific engagement topics within these roundtables. And you can, perfect. A little bit about past programming. We'll start with 2024. So we were in, we were in Chicago and Washington, D.C. We were able to go on the Chicago architectural boat tour, which is along the river, which they turn green for St. Patty's Day. Fun fact. We also were able to visit the U.S. Department of State, the Asia Group, the National Security Council, and a lot of really special kind of policymaking institutions in Washington, D.C., which included the Chinese Embassy, which was very special and an amazing welcome. Usually, conferences in the U.S., we have an opportunity to do a six-party talk at the Korea Economic Institute of America. If anyone here is familiar with Model United Nations, a similar kind of situation, but a little bit more intimate, with kind of a team goal of solving a nuclear crisis. So that was super, super fun for 24. For 25, we were able to go to the press conference at the China Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We were the first student delegation invited to that particular kind of event, and spokesperson Mao Ning did post us on their official account, so it was super special for us. We got to try on Hanfu. Not a great choice in the heat, but it was super fun aesthetically. And we also participated and created our own kind of Model UN inspired summer camp with about 80 other Chinese students to join us for a 3-day event of intense political negotiations. And we also were able to in turn visit the US Embassy in Beijing. So those were kind of some program highlights from the last 2 years. Funding the conference. So $3,000 is a lot, and we're college students, so it's completely understandable that it's a little intimidating. ISC does offer one scholarship per conference. That is the Plant a Diplomatic Tree Scholarship. In order to be awarded this scholarship, you do have to apply first, and then depending on the timeline, you'll be able to apply for the Diplomatic Tree Scholarship before your entire fee is due. So you'll be able to know whether you win the scholarship or not within time to participate in the conference. For JAS specifically, you have the Glenn S. and Saki T. Fukushima Fellowship Fund, and that is going to be for JAS participants only. However, lots of individuals are able to participate in our conference by getting external scholarships from mostly their university. We had 2 participants last year where their college fully funded their complete cost. All $3,000 were funded. So we encourage you to look at university funding, sponsorships through corporate means, and any participant that is, wanting to apply but is hesitant, feel free to reach out to us, and we can go ahead and aid you in finding funding opportunities to supplement the cost. Quick FAQs, is there a major requirement? Absolutely not. Any major ever. You could do basket weaving 101 and we'd still welcome you. The point is going to be intercultural communication and connection. So any major is welcome. Do you need to know Mandarin? Absolutely not. Any language, the only language requirement is English. So all the conferences are going to be held in English. Mandarin is helpful. Extremely, especially if you get lost somewhere in China. So it's helpful, but not required. Can I apply if I'm not an American citizen? Yes, but you must apply for your visa, and IFC cannot sponsor it. So you may have a bit of trouble, not necessarily trouble, but a kind of a different route to getting a visa than the rest of your American counterparts. Last year, we had a Canadian join us on part of the American delegation. And the reason for that is that we kind of believe that American is ambiguous, particularly for CHASC. I'm speaking for CHASC only at this point, that it's ambiguous and that it is, each side is going to have people that can best represent that population. So, for example, if you are a green card holder, you've been in the U.S. for forever, and you go to an American institution, an American college, check, and check, then you're able to apply for this particular program. On the flip side of that, can I apply if you're an international student or if you're part of a one-year exchange program to an American or Chinese university? Yep, as long as you are enrolled in the accredited Chinese, US or Chinese university. On that note, if you know anybody or if you yourself are a rising senior or you're graduating and you'll be graduated before the program starts and you have proof that you have been accepted into a university, you can still apply. So incoming freshmen to a university can definitely apply. And as well, we also accept applicants from people who have graduated up to 2 years. So we've got space for you. And that concludes kind of my portion. And of course, we'll allow questions at the end. That's Chask, and I hope to see everybody's application soon.
Thank you so much, Kiwi. I'm excited to introduce Junlong next to introduce BCEA. Take it away.
Hello, thank you so much, Deborah. Yeah, so hello everyone, my name is Junlong Wang. I'm the founder of Bridge Cultural Exchange Academy. So it's a social organization based in Los Angeles. Right now, I'm doing my master at Johns Hopkins SAIS Bologna campus. Yeah, this is an organization we founded back at the University of Southern California, but right now it has chapter in Geneva, Bologna, Beijing, DC, and Los Angeles. So it's an empowerment hub for youth to develop their global intelligence to become citizen diplomats. So like I said, so this is an empowerment hub for youth to develop their global intelligence to become citizen diplomats, citizen peace builder through training, dialogue, and storytellings. Yeah, so we have worked with ISC a lot in the past, and then to foster exchanges among students. So a little bit background about our advisory team. We organize events to bridge the gap between practitioner, scholar, and youth. So those are our main advisors for our online cultural exchange summits and also the citizen diplomacy video project. So here is a couple of our methodology for the entire organization. So we really believe the power of like engage, empower, and elevate. So as an empowerment hub, we wanted to engage broader youth public around the world, particularly in US, China, and Europe, to increase their understanding about international affairs and then peace buildings through online dialogue, forum, and storytelling session. And then empower, we want to empower them to develop their global intelligence skill, which we think is as important as an intellectual skill and emotional, intellectual intelligence and emotional intelligence through our flagship training summits, which is Global Intelligence Summits. It's an online event. And then Elevate, at the end, we try to provide mentorship and session for our alumni to encourage them to incubate their own social projects. Yeah, so today I will be mainly talking about two initiatives. So the first one is called Global Intelligence Summits. It's a fully online cultural exchange summits. So we collaborated with ISC like back into last year for the fourth online cultural exchange summits, and then it was great. And then we had people from like 27 different countries tuning in for a duration of 2 months, and then we have around 80 delegates in total. So the session, the core principle of the Global Intelligence Summit is centered around 4 open principles of global intelligence. So it's open your eye, open your ear, open your heart, open your hand to collaborate with people from different cultural backgrounds to learn about cultural differences and then to embrace those differences. What does that mean? It's like we have two sessions, we have two systems. So academic system and the house system. In the academic system, we will invite students to participate in forum like this with leading scholar to learn about alternative dispute resolution, cross-cultural communication skill and conflict resolution skills based on thematic topic like identity, community, peace building, SDGs. Last year's topic was SDG 4 and SDG 6, and US-China relations, etc. So it's a really balanced approach between academic and also networking online with people from different countries. So yeah, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so we did not just do it on Zoom. We were actually on a metaverse platform called Gather Town. So this can be, online Zoom call could be kind of like boring and it made people easily, tuning out if it's too long. So we try to find a platform that is like can offer as close to in-person experience as possible platform. So we decided to use SketchUp, and then people can use can move those avatar around in virtual space to meet with people in auditorium, in lecture hall, on the virtual beach, or set up a fire to have a fireside chat online with speakers. And then we have people from 35% of them are from China, and then 35% of them are from America, and then 30% are from global countries, like from other 25 different countries. So in the House Cup, beside of the academic session, we have entirely synchronous House Cup competition. We have 4 different house, and then in each house we have like 3 different small group, and then each house need to complete a group project together to compete in the House Cup. So it's just very much similar to Harry Potter's. So they are competing in this House Cup. Then another project I want to bring to your attention, and then this is the one we're currently spending most of the time on. Right now, during the fall semester and also leading up to the spring semester, right now we are in full speed mode to working on this citizen diplomats video, and then when it comes to the beginning of spring semester, we will start the preparation for the Global Intelligence Summit. But right now, for the Citizen Diplomats video project, this is our newest initiative at BCEA. So we have been planning this initiative for 1 year. So the idea behind the initiative is that there's so many amazing stories, from exchange participants like Deborah, Allison, Kiwi, you both are exchange participants, therefore citizen diplomats, to bridge the gap between different countries to willingly reach out to the other side through your personal story and personal journey. So we want to highlight those cross-cultural encounters and stories to highlight your story and to showcase the impact of citizen diplomats. So we can foster the people-to-people connection. So therefore, we will be conducting interview to exchange participants, diplomats, cultural leaders, or retired diplomats to learn more about their personal journey, why they get involved in cross-cultural exchange, why they become curious in different culture, what is their first cross-cultural encounter, what is your first exchange trip abroad, and then what was your experience like, what lesson did you learn, how has that changed you, then led to their professional experiences, and then to reflections. So those are 3 basic segments of our interviews, but they can really vary from interviewees' experience level of experience. For example, a student's interview story is gonna be different from program organizer, like exchange program organizer at the State Departments, or it's gonna be very different from like retired diplomats or senior diplomats. But we are still centering around the personal journey, professional experience, and reflection about exchanges industry. So those are our four video in production so far. So so we have interviewed 3 Americans and then 1 Chinese participants right now, and then we have team in DC, New York, Beijing, Bologna right now at those 4 sites, and then so just like previous like 4 interviewees, like you can see that backgrounds are very diverse. We have students, Caitlin, then she just finished an amazing exchange trip in Beijing Foreign Studies University in this summer, and then on the top, like Professor Sharon Miller, she's a great mentor of mine, and then she's one of the gigantic icon in people-to-people exchange in the United States. She was the president of Global Ties, and then she has a lifelong story to share about people-to-people exchange. And then like below Sherry, it's our participants actually from the chess this year, and then he actually shared about his like first experience in China, and then about being in Shanghai, about how immersive the chess experience is in the interview, and then he talked about why he decided to come to China, why he decided to work in the cross-cultural communication sphere, and then his experience in Chinatown, New York. So that's very interesting story to hear. And also on the right side, Winston, a Schwarzman scholar in China, he studied a tea club when he was in high school in Georgia, and then he takes the high school tea club into a tea association at Duke University. Then, upon graduation from Duke University, he launched that into a full startup, a tech company called My Teapot. And then that has like different branches all around the world, around like 50,000 users on the My Teapot app. So he's been doing tech startup and also at the same time promoting tea cultures around the world. Yeah, so those are our like 4 previous interviewees, and then here is a little bit about our impact. We have been starting the organization for around 4 years, and then it was started as a student organization at University of Southern California, and then over the years we have been hosting our signature events, Global Intelligence Summits every year, and then plus dialogue, plus other on-campus events. Right now it's independent social organization with active chapter based in Los Angeles, Beijing, Geneva, and DC. So, this is, please feel free to scan the QR code. So this will take you to involvement form, Google form, to express your interest and stay connected with us. Then please feel free to reach out to me as well. I've added my personal email and also the organization's Gmail. And also, if you want to add me on WeChat, that would be totally be cool as well. So I felt like for the BCEA, it offered opportunity for a deeper student involvement and also student initiative. So if you wanted to take lead in one of the team organizing global intelligence summits, or if you want to share your stories, share your citizen diplomat story, please feel free to nominate yourself. We would love to feature your story in our citizen diplomacy video as well. So right now we have upcoming interview with a couple senior diplomats were scheduled for the rest of the year. For example, like David, Governor David Belaski, former governor of former governor of South Carolina, and also retired former executive director of World Food Program, Nobel Peace Prize laureate. And then, yeah, he will be sharing us about his citizen diplomacy journey and peace building journey with World Food Program, and also Victor Ochin, like the youngest African nominated for Nobel Peace Prize back then. And then he will also be joining us, talk about his citizen diplomacy journey in Uganda, and also peace building work over there. So please feel free to share your story with us. We would love to feature more student story, youth story in this citizen diplomacy series. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you so much, Long. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the slides very quickly before representing. And I'm happy to invite Allison, our final representative, to speak about her experiences as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deborah. And it was great to hear about all of the amazing experiences of Kiwi and Junlo. So I am a current intern for the National Committee on U.S.-China Relations. So I'm happy to dive into that in a moment. But yeah, let me introduce myself. So my name is Allison Hunt. As you can see, these are some of the programs that I have participated in over the years related to study abroad, different forms of education, and many experiences with China and Taiwan. So I'm happy to dive into those. All right. So I am a recent graduate from Minerva University. I just graduated this May. My major was politics, government, and society and designing societies. And during my Minerva journey, I studied abroad in a different country every semester. So I started my freshman year in San Francisco. After that, I went to Seoul, South Korea. Then I did a semester in Taipei, Taiwan. Then I went to Hyderabad, India, and then Buenos Aires, Argentina, London, England, and last year I finished up my education in Berlin, Germany. So, before that, before graduating, I was very fortunate to participate in not one, but two China America student conferences, which honestly really continued to ignite my passion for US-China relations. So in CHASC 3, I was a delegate. So as Kiwi said, when you're part of the delegation, you also have the opportunity to become elected as an executive committee chair for the following year. And so luckily I was elected and it was really great. I'm really happy that Kiwi was able to share many of the amazing chess experiences. But I think getting involved when you're young and when we're in university, and as a student, it's really empowering to be able to make a change and act as a citizen diplomat and get to learn a lot about the US-China field because it really does touch every corner of the earth. So it's very important and it's the most vital relationship of our generation. So I definitely learned a lot from Chask, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity. So please apply. Right. And in addition to Chask, I also had several experiences in both mainland China and Taiwan. So my first experience with Mandarin and Chinese culture was with NISLI, the National Security Language Initiative for Youth. So this is run by the U.S. Department of State. I received a full scholarship to study abroad in Chengdu, China for a year to learn Mandarin and to learn about Chinese culture. Unfortunately, that was in 2020 when there was the pandemic, so I was not able to go in person, but nonetheless, I was still able to complete the program virtually. So that was my first experience learning Mandarin. I made many, many connections, and I learned so much about mainland China through those connections, through my teachers, through learning the language, through cultural classes, and just making friends. And I think that really helped me to get a more nuanced and deeper understanding of China. Because especially when I wanted to go to China during COVID, or, before COVID as it was brewing, however you might say, I was met with a lot of hesitation from the people around me. Asian hate was really high in the US at that time, and people were questioning why I would want to go to China. Meanwhile, 2 years before, I had done an exchange program in France, and everyone was really excited for me. And so this really sparked my curiosity as to why there were such mixed and different reactions as to when I was studying abroad in Europe, in France, versus wanting to go to China. And so I really wanted to get at the heart of these differences and help my community and people in the US see what I saw of China because I had spent all those time making connections and friends and learning more about it. And so I wanted to share what I had learned with the people around me. And so that's kind of my story of why I got interested in Chinese and Chinese culture. So after NISLE, I attended Minerva. And then my first semester after my freshman year, I did CLS, which is the Critical Language Scholarship. This is a great opportunity for students in undergraduate, graduate, any student. And basically, this allows you to study a critical language that the government deems critical. And so I got a full ride scholarship to study abroad in Taiwan with intensive Mandarin courses, cultural courses, and getting to live there and experience life there. And I really, really enjoyed this experience. And yeah, that also helped me to kind of see some cultural differences between Taiwan and China and understand an even more nuanced perspective, also keeping in mind my US perspective that I was coming from. So it was kind of a nice triangulation of US, China, and Taiwan relations. I also, after my CLS summer, I spent a semester in Taiwan with Minerva University. So in total, I spent around 6 months in Taiwan, and I had a really amazing time there, and I learned so much. I also got to work with local organizations to help solve local problems. And it was kind of eye-opening to be able to use my Mandarin to better understand problems on the ground. It was also one of the election periods, so I got to learn more about the elections. And most recently, I spent 2 months in Shanghai, China, with CIEE, another study abroad organization, and I was a program leader there. So I was helping American high school students come to China to learn about Chinese culture and Chinese language. So that was really fun. And that's another great opportunity if you have Mandarin language skills that you could be a program leader to spend time in China or Taiwan to help, like, kind of not that we're not the next generation, but even younger people learn about China, given that it's a really important relationship. So I had a really good time there too, and it was my first time finally making it to mainland. And then, like I said, my current position, I am a fall intern for the National Committee on U.S.-China Relations. I'm very thankful to have this position, and I think it's really a culmination of all of the different positions I had before. Being EC definitely helped with helping me to understand US-China relations better and have those conversations with people and youth and trying to understand how we can move forward. And yeah, so these are some pictures from the gala that they had, their annual fundraising gala. I got to attend that, which was really, really cool. I'll share a little bit about my position and the work that I do, and then I'll also share the internship opportunity with you. So I am working on the communications team, specifically in an editorial role. And every week I help to produce our China in the Hill newsletter. So this newsletter has the top headlines and stories of US-China relations. We carefully pick them and curate them, and we make sure to be as unbiased as possible and share facts and information that with the goal of helping people to better understand US-China relations because there's just a lot going on in the news, and sometimes it can be hard to digest. So we make this weekly newsletter very digestible and easy to understand so people can really get at the crux of the relationship and what's happening today and in the week. We also do legislation. So every week I'm going through the different bills that Congress passes in relation to China, and we kind of share those with the audience as well as committee hearings that are going on related to China. Another thing I work on with the internship in tandem with the newsletter is the US-China podcast. So this is on Substack, and it also has the legislation and the stories in a bit of a different medium. It's a bit longer than the newsletter. The newsletter is a bit more of a snapshot and it's a bit quicker. But this is also a really good way to dig deeper into the headlines and what's going on that week. The National Committee also has many other products that I really recommend checking out that people on the comms team work on, such as the YouTube channel. It has many really cool breakdown videos on current trends and soft power and just lots of different topics on US-China relations. I'm also helping to work on a mini documentary for the 60th anniversary, which is coming up next year. And yeah, you can just see these are some of the examples. So I really recommend if you're interested in US-China relations to follow the newsletter, like subscribe to the newsletter, the Substack, the podcast, any medium that you can, because this really helps you to understand like what's going on in US-China relations. And I do find them really cool products, and I'm happy to be working on them. And then, yeah, these are just a couple of other examples of other products, or sorry, other programs that the National Committee is involved with. So they have next generation programs. So for example, they have professional fellow programs where they're training like NGO leaders and community leaders in like the next leaders of US-China relations. They're also doing that with public intellects, and they have like track 2 dialogues. So they had one on maritime security, on climate focus, on on the economy, digital economy. So there's lots of different programs that they're doing. I encourage you to look even more into the programs and check out their website to see a lot of the cool work that they're doing. And yeah, and lastly, the internship application is open now. I think the application deadline is in 2 days for the spring internship, but they have internships all year. They have a spring internship, a summer internship, and a fall internship. So, and they have a programs internship that work on more of the programs I said, and they have a communications internship. So one is like working on Chinese social media and the video products. One is more of editorial, which I'm doing, working with the news. There's lots of different positions for the internship. So it's really great to check out if you're interested. Like I said, it runs all year round, so don't feel pressured to apply for the spring one. But it is due in 2 days if you are interested. And then lastly, the organization is just a great organization to look at if you're interested in US-China relations. If it's not the internship, maybe it's a job down the road. I really enjoy my time working there, and I'm happy to answer any questions about my background or the internship. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Allison. I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I will open it up for Q&A. For logistical purposes, we are going to keep it to the chat, but please feel free to start asking your questions, and we can start requesting some more answers from our representatives. Thank you, Kiwi, for responding to Caroline's question from earlier. I believe this question is directed at you, Allison. Do you have to speak Mandarin to qualify for the internship?
I don't believe it's a qualification for most of the positions unless it's like the communications Chinese social media side, because then you would need to know Mandarin for translation purposes. It does help to know Mandarin, and I will say, at least right now, most of the interns do speak Mandarin, but I wouldn't let that discourage you from applying if you don't speak it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, I can see your hand is raised. Go ahead, Juma.
Sure, sounds good. And also, I used to be the program intern of the National Committee on US-China Relation. So, and then Allison is on the com team. And then I think the internship at the National Committee, they have like two, right? So the general intern, program intern, then it's a program intern, and then it's the communication intern. So for program intern, we used to work on the people-to-people exchange, like the professional fellow program, or like we are working on the subnational diplomacy or next generation program. I would say for a communication internship, they really value your video editing skill, like or like any previous experiences with like communication for general internship, like program intern, my experience is like everyone, they don't have to speak Chinese, but everyone has a very deep knowledge about China, has a previous involvement with China. So yeah, yeah, so I think it's like very helpful if you can highlight that in your applications. And then, the program intern is very flexible, and then you can work on different project, different public programs. Um, yeah, so I think it's a very worthwhile internship. Yeah.
Thank you for adding on with more of your insights, Junlong. We have one more question, probably directed at either one of you, but what do NCU SCR interns usually pursue after the internship? Do they continue working for this program?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so okay, I
Yeah,
can
sorry,
answer
go
and
ahead.
then Junlong can add on. Yeah, no, that's perfect. And yeah, we have great balance because I'm comms and he's the program's intern, so ask any questions. But yeah, I would say it's uncommon for them to continue working after the internship just because there's like a start and end date. And then once you end, there's new interns that are coming for the spring. Like I end of December, and then there's new interns coming in first week of January. But I think nonetheless, it still helps you to form really great relationships with the committee and different members. So you can definitely learn about new opportunities through the people there. They're really interesting and they also have China backgrounds. And yeah, like, there's someone like transitioning to a new job, so like a position opened up in the committee for like a senior digital communications associate. So like that's a position that somebody could apply for in the future. So I think you can stay connected with the committee through their products that they produce. And they also host like a yearly like event at different universities. So you can stay connected through them, but it's not typical to like they wouldn't like give you an onboarding offer like after the internship just because of the way that it works.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they don't. Yeah. So, and also, they are nonprofit organization. Yeah. So they are relatively like good, like large nonprofit organization with relatively like strong financial support like from different foundations. So they have around 20 to 30 in 20 around 20-ish employee. Yeah, but the only example I can think of, right? Actually there are two. Yeah, but the most noticeable example I can think of, the most like inspiring example is like the story of Aaron, right? Aaron Nicholson. Yeah. So he was an intern with the national committee when he was in his college year, like in undergrad. Then he interned with national committee. Then he tried to join the national committee after he graduated, but it didn't work out at that time because like it's a nonprofit organization, and then they just didn't had hiring needs at that time. So but then he went on. He got a very good recommendation letter from the committee, and then he worked at the China House. Yeah, the China House in New York. Then he worked there for 10 years, and then kept getting involved with the committee because they are both based in New York. And then when he was trying to figure out what to do after 5 years at China House, then he decided to apply to the committee instead of going to grad school. Then right now he has been at the committee for like 5 or 6 years, and then he's doing the sub-national diplomacy. He used to supervise me when I was working on the sub-national stakeholder management. Yeah, so that was very interesting, and then he's a super nice guy, and then he's very dedicated to mentoring interns as well. Yeah. And then there are other people who used to work for a national committee when they are intern as well. Yeah.
I think the request is for the name of the individual you were speaking about.
Yeah. Yeah. If you go on to national committee, US for abbreviation, we just call it national committee. So yeah, national committee website. Aaron Nicholson. Yeah.
Would you mind putting it into the chat if you're comfortable, Junlong?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, for Kiwi, is there a way I can contact the chair or any members of the exec for this year's task?
Yeah, so you can either email the overall task email. They should be able to answer via that. Or I can go ahead and, Alan, I have your email, so I can email you their actual, like, official email accounts. However, I highly recommend reaching to them, out to them on WeChat. Actually, pause. One of them's here. Or he was here. Darn it. He's gone now. Sorry. Eric Larson is the American chair for Task 6. But I can go ahead and email you their contact information. But yeah, WeChat will usually get their attention a little bit faster, I think. But I'll give you all the details.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anything to clarify? Any tips you guys want from people who have successfully gotten into these programs? One quick question I can ask, was there a part of your respective applications that you thought was the most critical for your roles as individuals looking over applications, like characteristics or experiences that you think really stand out from applicants? Any or all?
I guess this is for me, or I'm not sure who this was for. This is directed for Deborah. I
For
guess, okay.
anyone involved, for any of the orgs.
Okay, cool. I guess for, as a delegate, the hardest thing for me was my interview. I had an EC named Melody interview me, and she remembered things I put on my application that I couldn't even remember that I put down. So it's very important to at least review your application for what you put down before you speak to the ECs is great advice, I think, for every interview you do. But I think as chair, things that stood out to me, making a point to make your written application, it's two-pronged. There's the written application, and then there's the interview process. Making a point to make your written application different from your interview. These are going to be two different kind of interactions. The written application is usually to base your knowledge on, do you know anything about China, international relations? How's your academics? Have you been a well-rounded student? There's no GPA requirement. So usually what we looked for was in your core classes regarding, perhaps international affairs or perhaps related to your major. How are you doing? Do you have a well-rounded interest? What are your extracurriculars? Those things we were looking quite at. But for your short answer questions, it was, do you have any experience with kind of intercultural communication? Why do you want to be part of the China and America relationship as the most tense relationship right now in geopolitics between two superpowers? That's a hard thing to do. Why do you want to do it? Why put yourself through the pain, right? So in a written aspect, that's what we wanted to know on the written application. For the interview, our joke is, the interview is, can we stand you for 3 weeks? It's a personable kind of connection. That was a little bit of a harsh joke, but it's more of how do you interact face to face? Kind of how do you react to stress? How do you react to people who don't have the same look, accent, way of going about life as you? It's really more your personality is going to shine through on your interview. So people who made a point to go ahead and present that rather than vomit back up their application stood out more than people who perhaps just repeated what they wrote down. So I think that that's something that really stood out to us personally in CHASC 5. I can't speak for the CHASC 6 ECs. Maybe they'll look for something else. But in my personal experience, that's something that really stood out to the executive committee last year.
Thank you. Do the other two want to jump in?
Yeah, so for at BCEA, right, we are just I think there's no, of course, there's no JPA requirements. We're just looking for like-minded individuals. I think the most important thing is that you're passionate about U.S.-China relations, citizen peace building, and also another thing in the applications, if you can share about your story, it's like with us, then that would be very helpful. It's like we will really care about who you are, like there are so many other great, amazing opportunities you can involve in, but why us, right? So we really want to know this, and then we want to make this a mutually beneficial experience. So we work with like all of all of the ECs, like Kiwi mentioned, like Melody, like she was with BCEA as well. So yeah, she was working on our global intelligence summits, and also the for 2 years, and then and also the video projects, and also for national committee. Um, I think national committee's application process is kind of like the most um selective. It is the most selective organization out of like the three organization. So I think the selection rate is around 5%, right? They said they received like around like 70 application each cohorts, and then they recruit around 3 program intern and then 2 communication interns. So for that one, I would suggest, what worked for me, right, is that I applied twice to the national committee, and then I really, in both applications, I really highlight my passion for U.S.-China relation, and then highlight my involvement with U.S.-China relation, and also like why I want to go to national committee, and why this is a beneficial endeavor for my like future. So I feel like they really care about that as well, but they really value your, for at least for program interns, they really value your inputs in U.S.-China relation, and also if you have any previous experience with U.S.-China.
I can just jump off it for like 1 minute. I totally agree. I mean, I think previous experience is great, but I just want to say, like, don't let it deter you if you don't have exactly what you think they're looking for or the exact previous experience. I went to a very untraditional university. We didn't have any classes related to China. I took international relations type classes, but no specific China classes. We didn't have any language classes, so I wasn't able to pursue Mandarin there. But I think there's definitely ways in your application to show that you have the skills required through other experiences, right? Like CHASC, for example, is related to leadership, it's related to organization, to time management, to cross-cultural exchange and adaptability. And there's so many skills that I learned in CHASC that were applicable to my application now, along with many other things through my university, etc. So if you don't have like, a lab experience doing research for China or whatever, don't worry about it. If you're still passionate about the opportunity, think about the past experiences and opportunities you've had and how you can kind of frame them and word them based on the skills that you pulled that would apply to the new job that you're applying for.
Thank you to all three of you. Final call for questions. Okay, I think that's it for today then. Thank you everyone for coming, especially everyone who stuck around until the very end. Thank you very, very much to our three representatives, and please let us know if we can answer any additional questions. I'm sure anyone here will be very happy to help in any way possible. And have a good evening, everyone.